Good morning, Western Washington, and happy Monday. I'm Matthew Fab with Western Washington Weather, and today we're going to take a look at the forecast for the second day of this heat wave, and as we go throughout this week, as we get a cooling trend across the area. So starting here with the satellite imagery this morning, there are no clouds across the entirety of Western Washington, except for some of this marine layer that is quickly burning off across parts of the coast and the Columbia River there. But otherwise, it is completely sunny, and it's going to be another beautiful and hot day across the area. I always love days like this on satellite imagery when you can see everything without any clouds. It's really interesting to see. So taking a look here at the weather alerts, you can see we have a heat advisory in effect for all of the lowlands from about Skagit County southward, including the Kitsap Peninsula and Hood Canal area, and then some of these mountain valleys up near Whatcom and Skagit counties as well. And then heat advisories, red flag warnings for fire danger, and extreme heat warnings. These used to be known as excessive heat warnings across parts of eastern Washington as well. And these heat advisories do extend down the I-5 corridor into the Portland Metro and then down through the Willamette Valley as well. Taking a look at highs yesterday, forecasts were pretty good, but forecasts were a little bit too chilly. We got a little bit warmer than expected. You can see 90s up here from Everett northward up toward Marysville and Arlington. You can see mid to upper 80s to low 90s across most of the metro area, a few mid 90s as you go into the foothills. You can see down here by Tacoma and Olympia, you had highs in the upper 80s to low 90s, a few chillier highs about in the 70s by the water. And then you can see as we go south here along some of the coast, we had highs in the 70s. And then as we go down the I-5 corridor, Portland reached 97 degrees yesterday. We had highs in the mid to upper 90s from Longview down toward Vancouver, Washington, and into Portland there. You can see 97 degrees in Portland at the airport. They're pretty crazy. And then as we go northward, you can see going up toward Bellingham and Mount Vernon and the San Juans, we had it was a little bit cooler up there, but it was still quite warm. You can see 80 in Bellingham, 88 as you go up toward Linden. You can see in the 70s near the water in Vancouver, up into the mid to upper 80s outside of those areas right next to the water. And you can see some of those big temperature contrasts right along the coast. 94 in the town of Forks and 58 at La Push with some of that marine layer that was there. We'll see a similar story today across the area with temperatures a few degrees cooler most likely. So taking a look at the overall pattern here, you can see we have this strong ridge right over the area which is causing this heat wave. As we go to the day today, that ridge remains but does start to weaken, and you can see as we go to the next few days that ridging remains there, but it weakens as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, and finally it moves out of the area altogether by Thursday when we have some troughing start to open up and move into the area. This will bring us a few chances of showers and some cloudier and cooler conditions, but it's not going to bring any widespread chances of rain all the way through Saturday. And you can see that here in the precipitation forecast all the way through Saturday night. A couple hundredths of an inch of rain possible with some shower chances on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday here across western Washington. More chances in some of the mountains to get over a tenth of an inch or so, but overall not very much rain at all for the next week here. So going all the way into Saturday, only a couple hundredths of an inch. Now taking a look at high temperatures, you can see today you're getting highs in the mid to upper 60s on the coast, so a bit cooler than yesterday with some of that onshore flow starting to return. And then in the lowlands from Seattle southward to Olympia and then down toward about Kelso, you can see highs in the mid 80s to low 90s. And then from Kelso southward through Portland, you're going to have highs in the upper 80s to mid 90s again. You can see from Seattle northward there, you're going to have highs in the upper 70s to mid 80s. But again, this was a little bit on the cool side yesterday, so we may see those highs tick up more into the low to mid 80s and maybe a few more low 90s for Seattle southward. Take a look at eastern Washington today. Just a very, very hot day. You're having highs in the upper 90s to mid 100s. You can see 104 there in the Tri-Cities, 102 in Yakima and Moses Lake, and 99 in Ellensburg. So it's going to be quite a hot day across eastern Washington. You can see as we go into Tuesday, highs decrease across western Washington, remaining in the low to mid 60s on the coast. The lowlands from Everett or Seattle northward are in the mid to upper 70s, maybe a few low 80s further away from the water. And then from Seattle southward tomorrow, you can see highs in the low 80s, maybe a few mid 80s in some of the valleys. and then mid to upper 80s around Portland and southwest Washington. You can see as we go into Wednesday, we cool down further, highs in the upper 50s to low 60s on the coast, low to mid 70s from Seattle northward, and mid to upper 70s from Seattle southward, near 80 around Portland on Wednesday. Cool down continues on Thursday with that troughing starting to move in, highs in the upper 50s to low 60s on the coast, and then in the lowlands, you're looking at highs in the mid 60s to low 70s, maybe mid 70s down there by Portland. And then you can see we remain cool as we go into Friday, highs in the low to upper 50s to low 60s on the coast, and then you're looking at highs in the mid to upper 60s inland. And then we start to rebound a tiny bit as we go into Saturday, highs in the low 60s on the coast, and then upper 60s to low 70s in the lowlands, and that remains into Sunday and Monday as well. So you can see after these couple hot days we've got here, it will remain a bit more seasonable with highs in the 70s across the area. And just wanted to point this out a little bit more zoomed in here, some of these high temperatures. You can see how it's cooler near the water today, but you still have these areas from Seattle southward there getting in the mid 80s to low 90s. So it's going to be another hot day across the area, that's for sure. And then I thought this was just an interesting thing to look at, temperature anomalies here for our high temperatures today. You can see 10 to 20 degrees above average for western Washington, up toward 25 degrees above average for Portland. But take a look at the Columbia Gorge and parts of eastern Washington. You're looking at highs up to 30 degrees above average for this time of year. So that 104 we were talking about there in Pasco is definitely unusual. You can see anomalies over 25 degrees there in Yakima and Ellensburg. So just unseasonably hot day across the area today, and maybe a sign of what's to come in terms of more hot temperatures as we go through this summer, so stay tuned for more information on that. And then taking a look again here as we go into mid-June at our temperature outlook, you can see slight chance of below average to near normal temperatures here for June's 14th to 18th across the Pacific Northwest, and then you can see a slight chance of above average precipitation. Not really too certain on that just yet as we go into mid-June. So yeah, thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe here to the Western Washington Weather YouTube channel, and then follow me on Blue Sky, on Twitter, and on the Western Washington Weather Facebook group. So thank you all very much for watching. Please stay safe out there in the heat, and I will talk to you all later.